I am who I am today because God used my mistakes. He worked them for my good like no one else ever could. I am who I am today because God used my mistakes. He worked them for my good like no one else ever could.
Hey y'all, it's Sparkle, and welcome back to Sparkle Speaks, where we put our purpose in place to allow our calling to draw you through content. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join a friend, send it to a friend, and have them join in. Today's episode, we will dive into having faith to overcome your fear with my sister, Deanna Dudley.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Hey girl. Hey girl. So a little background with us. I met Deanna about a year and a half ago. She was at the time dating my brother, my baby brother, Israel, and she threw him a surprise birthday party. She reached out to me, my sisters, my mom, and told us that she was planning a surprise birthday party for him and she wanted us to come. So I was like, oh, okay. I like that. And I actually the first day I met you was at his birthday party, right?
No, we actually
In
met.
person?
No, we actually met at church because he had to preach.
You're right. We did.
Yes.
We definitely did. But I didn't get like a real feel of you, like your
Right.
personality and how you were until the birthday party. And I actually went to Israel. I don't know if he told you, but I went to him and I was like, so do you think she's the one? Because I like her energy. I like how she moves. She seems genuine. She seems sincere. And he was like, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. He didn't want to tell me. You know how Israel is. He don't too much speak on the things that he's going to do or tell anybody. And I was just like, I like her for you. And that was just the first day you brought the family together, you brought his friends, you brought the church family and everything. And the icing on the cake for me was when y'all did the birthday song. I was like, oh, I never heard this before. Let me find out. So yeah, I really like that. So I felt like we had our own little connection. Did you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I felt like we got our own little connection. From that day forward, we exchanged numbers. We became really cool and stuff like that. But then there was a time, and I was new to, I had just changed my life because his birthday party was April, right?
Yes.
And I surrendered my life fully to God in February. So I felt like my faith was being tested, not only mine, but yours. Because for me, I felt like, I was a different person. I wanted to put the old me behind, right? So then when people tried to pin us against each other, that's what I'll say.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We kind of drifted apart. How did you feel, when that situation happened? Like, did you feel like your faith was tested like it was mine? Because I felt like mine was like, and I didn't want to go back to who I was, because who I was, like, I would have like tried to press you on something or press the people that was saying different things. Like, well, how did you feel about it?
Honestly, it's really painful to think about and it's painful to talk about. And it's only because I'm disappointed that our relationship got hindered because of outside people that don't matter. I feel like from the first time I met you, we had a spiritual connection because I met you at church. And I just want to say this to you, and we've talked so many times, but you don't even look like the same person I met a year and a half ago.
Really?
Like you look totally different. Like when I first saw you, I saw a heaviness in your spirit, but you were trying to mask it like you were okay. And to me, I could see that you were dealing with just pain and disappointments and just frustrations and so many different things. And you were trying to be the person that God called you to be. And it was like I could see like you were taking 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and you were trying so hard. And I just saw all of that in you. And so my whole point with you was, you know, I'm going to encourage her because this walk with Christ is not easy. It is hard. And I wanted to be a support system to you because I knew how important you were to my now husband. And so, you know, it was important for me to make sure that, you know, our relationship was solid. You know, me and all the family. That's what,
Right.
you know, I wanted to happen. So when that situation happened, I was very disappointed, but I have to be accountable for the role that I played in it because when outside people try to say things that you supposedly said about me and Israel, your brother, I didn't even come to you and just say, hey, sis, what's going on? I just took the information and ran with it. And that's where I was wrong because I should have never done that. We were better than that. I mean, we were talking every week or texting or talking about things. God was showing me things about you, same vice versa. We'd call each other. We'd be supporting each other, encouraging each other spiritually. And so it's disappointing for me that that situation even happened. And I remember that I was upset and I seen you maybe like a few weeks after and you treated me as if nothing was wrong. And the Holy Spirit told me then, she don't know what's going on.
I didn't.
And I'm like, and I was just, I'm not going to lie. I was just in my flesh. Like, yes, she does. She, you know, I don't know why she, you know, but when we actually had a conversation and talked and we both realized that sometimes just because somebody is in your circle, it does not mean they're in your corner. And I think we both had to learn that. That some people just, they can act like they're happy for you, but they're really not happy for you. They like you being in this dark and broken place because it makes them feel good where they are in life or where they're not in life. But when they see God really elevating you and moving you towards greater, and they're realizing that you're going up the escalator and they're still on the ground, they can't handle that and it bothers them. And so I had to let go of the why would people do this and get to the point of, you know what, why not? Because now this is going to remind me that moving forward in my life, I have to listen to the voice of God regardless. And it may look scary and nobody may understand it. But at the time that you and I had our conversation, we both really needed each other because we were spiritually in warfare. We had so much going on. We needed each other badly. And neither one of us was at a place that we were willing to say, I need you. Like, can you put this aside? And for me, I should have trusted you enough to know that if I had told you, I need you, sis, you would have been there, regardless of the disconnection that we had.
And that's one thing about me, girl.
Yes. And vice versa. So overall, it hurts me to think about it because I'm disappointed in myself because I thought of myself just growing in God and being in this place. But yet when he said she has no idea what's going on, I didn't listen to his voice. So having faith in God means that you're listening even when you don't understand. And I think that's a point that both of us got to. And we both made a vow to each other that, hey, if anything else ever come up, ever, I don't care if it's something small, you know, we're going to get on the phone and we're going to talk and we're going to pray. And if we have to have a hard conversation, we're going to do that. And it's going to be honest and respectful. And so I'm grateful that we were able to get over that little hump. I think it made our relationship so much stronger to the point that, you know, I say I'm one of your biggest supporters. I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders. I'm your number one fan. Because there's so much beauty in you. And I'm just so grateful to be in your life because the beauty that was inside of you all this time, it's like now it's coming out and everybody can see it. And it's like what everybody is seeing in you today is what I saw in you from the beginning. So I've always had this strong confidence and faith in you. And, just from having conversations with you throughout the course of our relationship and you really seeing how much I loved your brother.
Yes.
And how I've been there for him and how our relationship is. It was like, to have you say, I know you're the one for my brother and I love your relationship and, it encourages you in your walk. And, when God sends your husband, you're seeing some things through us. And so I just feel grateful for our sisterhood. I don't say friendship. I say our sisterhood. Like, I don't say my sister-in-law. Either you're my sister or sister-in-love. That's how I refer to you.
Yes.
But I'm just grateful to know you. And I just know that God put everything together the way he did.
Yes.
And it's no mistake that we met in a spiritual setting. You know what I mean? Because we've had a spiritual connection to where I've dreamed about you doing certain things in God, and it's happened.
And what's so crazy? Right now, it's like God is already in there because I was getting ready to talk about that. That was the next thing that I was going to talk about. And I feel like the enemy came in and threw that in there because how spiritually connected we were. Because you called me one morning and you was like, what did you say? No, you didn't call me. You text me. You said, can you get voice messages? And I said, yes. So you said, I don't know if I told you, but God tends to deal with me in dreams. And when I tell you, that literally blew my mind when I listened to your voice message, because I was just like, what is going on? You said, I don't know if God tends to deal with you. I don't know if I told you that God deals with me in dreams, but I had a dream about you last night. And it was weird because you were walking. When I say I listened to it so much that I know it word for word, you were walking in the dark and you had an address in your hand. And you said, God, I don't know where I'm going. And you said that God said, will you trust me? And I said, yes. You said, as I begin to take the steps, the lights begin to come on. And you said, I got to a crossroad. And I said, God, I don't know where I'm going. And he said, will you trust me? And I said, yes. The light on the street came on and he told me to go left. In that moment, I'm driving in my car and I was going to a destination at 7 a.m. where I'd never been. And you said, God is telling me that he's going to have you doing things you've never done, going place you've never been, and to trust him. And in that moment, I just cried because I'm like, wow, God, you told me to go this place because someone needed to see me. I needed to see someone. And literally when I got there, I called you and I'm like, girl, why the GPS said turn left onto such and such road, turn left onto such and such road. Your destination is on the left. In that moment right there, I knew how powerful you was in God. I knew that God uses you in a mighty way. And I knew that he connected us together for a reason. God had to speak through you to let me know that where I was going that day, that it was confirmation that he did tell me to go. Because it was like, he told me not to tell anybody, but in the back of your mind, I know what I heard, right? In the back of my mind, I'm like, dang, should I go for real? Or should I, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. But when you sent me that voice message, all I could do was cry because I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. Because when God tells you something, it's going to come back in confirmation. So you telling me that was only confirmation. So I felt like when that situation came up with us, I felt like that was the enemy throwing that in there. Like, oh, they think they spiritually connected. No, not this time. But we were able to use our faith, right? Okay, God, I'm going to trust you again because I know you didn't put us together for no reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that in that moment, I knew who you were in God. And I knew that when I met you in the beginning and I told Israel, like, I think that, like, I got a feeling that she the one. And at the time, I didn't know. At the time, I wasn't surrendered to God fully. So, I wasn't hearing his voice and I didn't really know, but I had that intuition that, you were genuine, you were sincere, you loved him unconditionally. And not only that, I didn't know who you were in God, but then when y'all ended up getting together, getting married and things like that, like it all came together full circle. So my question to you is what drew you to Christ, and how old were you when you surrendered your life to God?
So I was actually 12 years old. I grew up in a family that was, very religious. So I was taught about God from an early age. So 12 years old is really when I gave my life to Christ. And I'm proud of it. But at the same time, getting older and life is hitting you and you become a young adult, 19, 20. You start to see life like, oh, this is real. It can get real out here. And I feel that there were moments in my life that I felt like God had forgotten about me. And so I drifted away from him. And I'm not proud of those moments, but I'm happy that I had them. And I say that because I can speak to people about what I've been through, and I'm not judgmental about what you're going through. Like if you're struggling with something, I can understand because I've probably struggled with something similar or know somebody who has.
Right.
And so I've gotten to a place in my life where I'm like, when I was going through things, I would say, God, why me? Why me? And then God said, why not you?
Why not?
Why not you? So everything, and I will speak this to you, everything that you've been through has prepared you for moments like this to help other women, other people who have felt like they weren't good enough, that they weren't worthy. You have been through so much already in your life that now you can use this platform to help other women say, look, if I can get through it with God on my side, you can get through whatever you're going through. And I had to learn, like, I can't operate without God in my life. Like I've tried it and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I've been through the phase of when I really said, okay, I'm really, really, really going to just stay connected to God.
Yes.
I noticed that it seemed like my life got a little worse for a second because I guess I was just numb to life. I like to go out and party and I had friends to go out with to the bars and just, have a good time. But once I said, I'm not going to keep doing that, I felt like my friends disappeared. And then it's oh, she's so holy now. Oh, she's acting brand new.
Girl.
And I'm like, it's not that I'm acting holy. Like, I'm not stopping you from being you. If I don't judge you because you go out and get drunk every weekend, then why are you judging me because I don't?
Or I decided to change my life. Girl, I think I told you a few times, I've heard a few things that people would say about me. Oh, this fake journey that I'm on. Oh, now all of a sudden she's so holy, piggybacking off of what you said, when in all actuality is why what I'm doing affecting with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, why does it matter to y'all? Like, I'm trying to better myself. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I've never understood that, but I had to learn as well. Like, people gonna talk. And I've always been one to not care what anybody say about me. I've always been that one. But for some reason, when I surrendered my life to God, I didn't start to care, but like their words were like kind of bothering me in a way. Cause it's like I'm out the way. I'm like all the way left. You know what I'm saying? All the way out the way, not, you know what I'm saying? Like, why? Like, why do you care? But to piggyback off of what you said, having the platform and getting things out there and things that I've been through, let's talk about the platform. A year ago, you called me and you was like, Sparkle, I think you told me you were in prayer, or God told you. He gave you the name, right?
Yes.
You was like, Sparkle, I think you need to start a podcast. And I was like, okay. You was like, and God told me to call it Sparkle Speaks. And I was like, oh, that got a ring to it. I like that. Now, I heard you, but it went in one ear and out the other.
I know.
And I was like, I'm scared. I'm too scared for that. I'm shy. Like when I do hair, I'm able to connect with people and I'm able to talk to people. I'll share my testimony with them. I'll talk to them and stuff like that. So never in a million years did I think, oh, you need to start a podcast. I feel like there's so many podcasts out there, right? So like, why little old me? You know what I mean? So I sat on it. I thought about it a few times. And that was my fear. Like I had a fear to get in front of a camera. I had a fear of talking in front of a lot of people and things like that. So you told me that in one ear out the other. And then you, like a couple months later, he was like, yeah, so you got to get working on it. I found Kyron. I'm like, oh, I know him. You know, I know him from back in the day, like when I used to party type, you know. So I was like, I'm going to reach out to him. I didn't. But then one thing that I liked about and I love about you is that your support for the people that you love, right? And you give your all and you support, you back them up and you push the people that you love. So I thought about it and it's the second time when you told me to call Kyron. I'm like, okay, I reached out to him. And then, but then January came. You said, all right, Sparkle, time to get moving. So God was using you because I always say this, that I operate off faith, right? So everything else in my life, I was putting my faith to use, right? Until it came to this podcast, because I was allowing my fear to overstep the faith, right? But God allowed you to push me to have my faith to overcome the fear. And that's what I love about you. And I thank you for pushing me, because January came, I don't think I would be on this very couch in February. So I do thank you for that. Is there a personal experience where you felt that your faith was significantly impacted?
Oh boy. I would have to say there was a period of time where I was really depressed. And I just felt like it'd be better if I wasn't here. And so I was very suicidal. Really? To the point that I tried to take my life, and obviously it didn't work because I'm still here. Mm-hmm. But I can't even pinpoint what was happening. I just felt like there was so much negativity in my life at the time, and I was trying to drown it away by, partying and drinking. And it wasn't doing anything but just numbing whatever pain I had. And I really had to grow up and take a good look at myself. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm advocate of going to therapy and talking to someone about things. Going to therapy and talking to someone, but also trusting God and praying to God will help you get through situations. Mm-hmm. And I realized that there's things from my childhood I never dealt with. To the point that I grew up as an adult feeling like I had to please people. And I was afraid that if I did the wrong thing, that someone would stop loving me because I didn't do things the way they wanted me to do it. And I realized that, growing up not having my father be present was taking a toll on me, because I have other cousins who will tell me how my dad was like a dad to them. And he was there for graduations and proms. Wow. And for me, he was never there. Wow. And so I had to deal with those feelings of rejection. And that's been one of my biggest things, is rejection. Feeling like I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. You know, unfortunately for me, I grew up in a household where I wasn't told that I was smart. I wasn't told I was beautiful. Like, I didn't even think I was attractive for most of my life.
Really?
I did. I just thought I just looked regular. I knew I had a heart of gold, but I felt like, you know, I could just be rejected at any given time. So fear for me was, even now, when I started dating your brother, we would have conversations and I go, what you want with me? Like, I would ask him that, like, what's the catch?
Right.
And, you know, he kind of got upset with me after a couple months because he's like, I care about you and I want to move forward with you. Why do you keep thinking there's a hidden agenda? And I'm like, it's not so much that, but it's just, I think the biggest thing for me was thinking that you're healed and you're really not. Like, there's different aspects of my life that I'm healed from.
Right.
But then there's some things that I found out, oh, I'm not really healed. And I had to deal with that. But it was to the point that, you know, at his birthday party, when you were saying, oh, I believe she's the one, that same day he was telling everybody, oh yeah, me and Deanna's wedding, I got this many groomsmen and this many. Yes, the day
You
of the
never told
party.
me that.
Yes. And I was like, what? And my friend said, did you hear what he said? And somebody else at the party said, oh, y'all about to be engaged soon. And I was like, what? We are? And not shortly after that, we were engaged. But at the same time, I think because I was so used to negativity in my life, I was the kind of person where I would never really show how openly happy I was,
Right.
because I felt like somebody would always try to come take that happiness from me, if that makes sense.
It does.
Like, if it's like, if I'm going to get a new car, you know, and I could be ecstatic and somebody can go, oh yeah, you went and got that. Anybody can get that kind of car. That's just a regular car. You know, it's like, man, you can't just
be happy.
be happy. So when it came to him and I, you know, getting engaged, I was just waiting for something bad to happen. I was just waiting. And I voiced that out loud, like, oh, something's going to happen.
Right.
Because I'm at the happiest moment I could possibly be at. And I realized I'm living in fear all the time. Every day I wake up, is he still going to love me? And I would say this to him, are you going to love me in 10 years? Are you still going to be in love with me in 5 years?
Wow.
Are you sure you're going to want to be with me forever? Like, I would say stuff like that. And he told me, stop living in fear, just live. And I realized I wasn't living at all. I was walking around in fear every single day.
Yes.
And it was subconsciously to where I'm like, why aren't I just enjoying these moments?
Right.
You know, why aren't I just being happy and just living, not just being alive, but living.
Right.
And I really had to trust God that, first of all, you didn't line me up with him and this family for nothing.
That's true.
Like, the pieces started coming together to where, you know, I have connections with all of the sisters and mom and Aunt April. And it's like, we all have our own different relationships, but they're all good.
Yes.
And I'm like, God didn't just put us together for no reason.
For no reason.
And I had to trust that you're not going to just put me in a situation for me to fail. And that's when I started really seeing, you know, faith is just going to get you a long way. It's going to carry you so far.
Yes.
And I have to listen to God's voice, nobody else's voice. And people will know, and I'll say it publicly, can't nobody come to me and talk about you.
Period.
Or anybody in the family, okay?
Yeah.
Unless something good. If it's something good, then bring it to me.
Right.
But I'm going to defend my family and I'm going to support my family, because life is hard and life is short.
Yes.
And we really have to, like, rely on each other. And even though we've talked about, you know, the situation where there was a distraction for us and we kind of drifted apart, I'm kind of glad that it did happen in a way, because it taught us that we always have to stay connected to each other and to God.
Yes.
And if you allow God to be in any kind of relationship, it's going to work. Whether it's a friendship, sisterhood, you know, romantic, family, you have to keep God in it.
Yes. So my question to you is, how do you... So I said, like, you know, I operate off of faith and things like that. And you were there throughout this whole last year. And what is it? What drew you to being able to like feel like, you know, you were able to overcome, like what, how am I trying to word this? What actually let you overcome? Like, how were you able to overcome those feelings? Like you said, you know, what we endured and things like that. Like in what moment did you overcome it? Like, how did you know that, you know, it was a setback between the two of us? Or even just the family, period. Because there was a time that you were like, you weren't talking to me. Well, we weren't talking, but then it was like we kind of drifted away from the family as a whole. So like, how were you able to overcome that?
I mean, God was talking to me the whole time.
So you was just ignoring him?
I was.
Girl.
I was ignoring him.
Why is you gonna ignore him like that?
Because I was in my feelings, and I think it's because you and I were so close, right?
Yeah.
That it was hard for me to imagine that you're saying one thing and doing another. Mm-hmm. And I think I was just hurt because I'm like, that's Sparkle. Like, that's my boo. Like, anybody else in the world could have said anything or done anything to me, and I probably wouldn't have cared. But because we were so spiritually connected, I think it just hurt more. Mm-hmm. But then to realize that I went through unnecessary hurt for no reason, we both did. And I could have cleared it up within 24 hours.
Right.
And it took us almost 2 months. You know, that's where I am accountable for the fact that I went wrong. Mm-hmm. But God was speaking, and he had told me that we were going to talk.
And you ignored that too?
No. I knew it was going to happen.
Okay.
But the Lord says she's going to come to you. Mm. And I go, oh boy, what is this? What's this going to look like? Uh-huh. And you did come to me. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of tears. Mm-hmm. And it was a breakthrough. And it was like, man, the enemy really tried it. Like, he really tried it. And so for me, it was when God was speaking and showing me things, he told me, you're going to need her. And she's going to need you. And I started looking at my husband, because I'm like, we weren't married yet, we were engaged. Mm-hmm. And the Lord told me, he needs both of us. And he needs us both to be on one accord.
Yes.
And I'm thinking like, okay. And so one day we talked, me and my husband, and he goes, I just want you to let it go. And I said, well, how are you able to let things go? Because you were upset too. And he says, because she's always been there. In spite of everything in my life.
He said that about
me? Yes. She's always been there.
Yes.
And he goes, and I just, it's just a pain in my heart that people I love the most, you and her, are not on the same page. And he was like, you know, I know God's going to work it out. And I said, well, you know, God told me she's going to come to me. So I'm praying that my heart is receptive when she does. Mm-hmm. And when you came to me, I was receptive. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a finger pointing conversation. Mm-hmm. It was never disrespectful. It was never, well, you did this and you did that. We both listened to each other talk respectfully, and we were able to realize what had happened.
Yes.
So then we got mad because we realized what happened and who did what, who said what. But we were like, you know what? Lesson learned.
Yes.
Like, we're connected. We're going to stay connected. Nobody should ever be able to come and break up what we have.
Right.
And I just felt like the enemy really saw what we were doing, because the enemy didn't want this. Mm-hmm. This is a spiritual platform. Mm-hmm. You know, when you did your prayer in the park, I told you, that I had a dream and I had wrote it down in my notes.
You did.
That I saw you doing something, in front of a bunch of women, and it was spiritual and there was a breakthrough. And you go, well, I'm going to do this prayer in the park. And I'm like, yes. And every time you've had an idea to do something, I've been like, yes. And I realized that if the enemy could break us two apart and keep us that way, then I can encourage you to walk in the calling that's over your life. I can't motivate you and push you if we're not connected.
That part. And the crazy thing about it, I thank God for you, because I do believe I talked to you about, me losing people that was close to me and things like that. So I felt like, the devil trying to like strip everything and everyone, you know what I mean? But, God didn't see fit for that to happen. So I do thank you for that, because, you've always, I feel like, even though we were apart, you were, I believe in my heart, you still were praying for me. I really do believe that. So I do thank you for that. And I want to ask you as well, what would you rather, or what would you rather? Ready?
Okay.
Okay. Would you rather be the best player on a losing team, or be the worst player on a winning team?
I'll be the worst player on a winning team.
Why?
Because if the whole team wins, then I'm still winning.
Period. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't have to be a star.
Yes.
Because what good is it for me to be the best player and we're losing every game?
Yes.
We're not going anywhere. But if I'm the worst player, but yet we all still win at the end of the day, I'm still winning.
That's showing you humble. Your spirit is humble. You're genuine. And that's what everyone needs, a genuine person around them. You know what I mean? Somebody that's pushing. And that right there shows you even choosing to be the worst player on a winning team shows that you're a pusher. Like, I'm still going to push my team because we're all going to win in the end.
Yes.
That was a dope answer. Let me find out. You was made for this, girl. I do want to thank you. I thank you for joining me here on the couch. I needed you to be here. And I told you when you told me that I needed to do a podcast, I was like, well, you're going to be on there because it was you who pushed me to do it. You know what I mean? So we both together have to get on there and inspire and motivate people. If you ever feel like, there's something you need to say, if you ever feel like you want to draw someone in based off of your testimony, what you're going through, you just got to get up and do it. And I thank you for coming. And I can't wait for you to start yours, because you're going to be starting one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mine will be coming out soon, but I wanted to get yours first. And I just want to say, like, I'm super proud of you. Like, the woman that you are right now and who you're striving to be. Like, I'm just super proud of you to see the journey that you've been on. Like, it's real, it's genuine.
Yes.
You're not ashamed to say, if I fail sometimes, I mess up sometimes, my thinking is wrong, I say things wrong. Like, you hold yourself accountable.
Yes.
And I really, really, truly appreciate that about you. And I'm just so grateful just to be your sister. And I just think that what we're doing, being able to talk about real things and being very transparent is going to help other women too, because we need to just lift each other up. Like, we don't have to compete with anybody.
Right.
Like, I want to see you win. I want to see you be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to always continue to pray for you. Thank you. I'm going to always pray for you. And if I have another idea, I'm going to be on your phone. We're going to call Kyron and we're going to do it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I do thank you. And I thank you all for tuning in on this episode of Faith Over Fear with Miss Deanna Danielle Dudley. Yes, I had to say your whole name. It was so, your name just, it flows. DDD,
right.
The threes,
Yep.
So I thank you all for tuning in. on this episode of Faith Over Fear. We would love to hear from you. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to ask a friend. Have you heard Sparkle speak?
I am who I am today because God used my mistakes. He worked them for my good, like no one else ever could. I am who I am today because God used my mistakes. He worked them for my good, like no one else ever could.